Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into the incredible origin story of one of history's most pivotal figures. And his life started not with some grand prophecy, but with an actual death sentence.
So let's really think about that for a second. The story kicks off not with greatness, but with a government-sanctioned order to kill him. How do you even come back from that?
All right, let's set the scene. We're in ancient Egypt, and the pharaoh is getting, nervous. He's seeing the growing number of Israelites and, out of fear, issues a truly terrifying decree. Every single newborn Hebrew boy must be killed.
I mean, can you even imagine the fear his mother, Jochebed, was feeling? At any moment, government agents could show up at her door to execute her newborn son just for existing.
So right from his very first breath, this infant was an outlaw. The state had already branded him a criminal deserving of death. His crime? Being born.
Now, she managed to hide him for 3 months, which is pretty amazing. But in the crowded slave quarters, a baby's cry is a huge risk. So she comes up with this desperate, last-ditch plan. She builds a tiny little ark, basically a basket, coats it with tar to make it waterproof, and sets him adrift in the reeds of the Nile, the very river that was supposed to be his grave.
And this is where the story takes its first, truly ironic twist. The baby is found by, get this, an Egyptian princess. Of all people. Then, thanks to some seriously quick thinking from his big sister, Miriam, his own mother gets hired and paid by the state to be his nurse. The same government that wants him dead is now bankrolling his survival. You can't make this stuff up.
So let's just recap. The child who was meant to be drowned in the Nile is instead adopted by the very same royal family that ordered his death. And this is where his incredibly complex identity really starts to form. It's actually the princess who names him Moses. His name is forever tied to that moment he was saved from the river. It's a constant reminder of not just where he came from, but how he survived.
And get this, for the next 40 years, Moses is raised as an Egyptian prince. He's living in the heart of the royal court, surrounded by all the power plays, the scheming, the treachery. He's getting a first-hand education in how a massive empire actually works.
You have to think about the deep conflict that was probably brewing inside him. On one hand, he's living this incredibly privileged life as a prince. But on the other, he knows he's a Hebrew. He's the son of slaves. And every single day, he has to see his own people suffering under the brutal orders of his adopted family.
This kind of double life, this massive internal conflict, it just couldn't last forever. Something had to give. And a single moment of pure rage is about to blow up his entire world and set him on a completely new and way more dangerous path.
So one day, all those years of simmering anger just boil over. Moses sees an Egyptian taskmaster viciously beating a Hebrew slave, one of his own people.
He just couldn't stand by and watch anymore. He intervenes.
And in the fight that follows, his life changes in an instant. He kills the taskmaster. In a total panic, he buries the body in the sand, probably hoping that would be the end of it. But a secret like that, it's not going to stay buried for long. Sure enough, word gets back to Pharaoh, and the order comes down: find Moses and kill him. That death warrant from his birth, it's basically been reissued. So at 40 years old, the Prince of Egypt becomes a fugitive on the run. His desperate escape takes him all the way across the Red Sea into the land of Midian. And it's here that his life is about to go through another massive transformation. In Midian, he finds a new community with people who are actually distant relatives, also descendants of Abraham. He finds a new family, a new profession. He trades the royal palace for the open pasture. What a change!
And this is where you see this incredible contrast. The first 40 years of his life were all about learning, power, politics, and how an empire is run. The next 40 were spent in the quiet, humbling life of a shepherd, learning patience and perseverance.
That's 80 years of life, totally split between two completely different worlds. One experience shaped his mind in the courts of the powerful, while the other shaped his heart out in the solitude of the wilderness. It's like he was being forged, piece by piece, for something he couldn't even see yet.
Which, of course, leaves us with the ultimate question. This wild roller coaster life. Prince, fugitive, scholar, shepherd. It was all clearly a preparation. The two halves of his life seem almost perfectly designed to create a one-of-a-kind leader. But what on earth could possibly happen next that would require a man with that exact unique resume?